James Whitmore checked his watch for the third time, his jaw tightening. His blind date was now 15 minutes late. His 5-year-old daughter, Sophie, sat across from him at the elegantly set table, absorbed in the activity book the restaurant had thoughtfully provided. This was a mistake. The whole thing was a mistake. He shouldn't have let his sister persuade him into this blind date. He certainly shouldn't have agreed to bring Sophie, even though his sister insisted that any woman worth dating should be comfortable meeting his daughter early on. And he absolutely shouldn't be sitting in one of the city's finest restaurants, feeling foolish as the minutes ticked away. "Daddy, can we order now?" Sophie asked, looking up from her coloring. "I'm getting hungry, sweetheart. But we're waiting for someone." "The lady?" "Yes, the lady. Though I'm beginning to think she's not coming." At 36, James had been a widower for 3 years. His wife, Sarah, had died in a car accident when Sophie was 2, and James had thrown himself into being both father and mother while managing his tech company. Dating hadn't crossed his mind until his sister staged what she called an intervention, insisting he needed to start living again. "Sophie needs a mother figure," his sister had argued. "And you need a life outside work and parenting." So here he was, waiting for a woman named Emma, whom his sister claimed was perfect for him, despite being 20 minutes late. James signaled for the waiter. "I think we're going to." A woman's voice cut in. "I'm so sorry I'm late. Traffic was awful, then I couldn't find parking. I should have left earlier, but I kept changing my outfit because I was nervous. And I tend to ramble when I'm anxious, so I'll just stop talking now." James looked up to see a woman in her early 30s, blonde hair slightly tousled, wearing a blue dress with a cardigan, clutching a small purse like a shield. "Emma, yes. Hi. I'm really sorry for being late. You must think I'm disorganized and rude." James stood, irritation softening at her obvious embarrassment. "It's okay. Traffic is unpredictable. Thank you for understanding. I promise I'm not usually late." "Well, sometimes I am, but not usually this late." She paused. "I'm rambling again." Sophie, watching closely, said bluntly, "You talk a lot." Emma smiled at Sophie. "I do, especially when I'm nervous." "Are you Sophie?" "Aha. I'm 5. This is my coloring book. Do you want to see?" "I'd love to." Emma sat down and genuinely examined Sophie's work, asking about her colors and technique. James felt himself relax slightly as he watched them interact. The waiter took their orders, and the conversation began awkward at first. James asked standard first date questions, and Emma answered politely. He stayed guarded, already rehearsing his polite exit in his mind. Emma was a 3rd-grade teacher. She lived alone, liked reading, cooking, and hiking. She'd never been married, had no children. All perfectly pleasant. All perfectly ordinary. Nothing wrong, but nothing that made James think this was worth pursuing. Then Sophie spilled her water. The glass tipped, sending water across the white tablecloth toward Emma. James reached for napkins, cursing inwardly, but Emma was faster. She grabbed the glass, wiped up the water with her napkin, and said to Sophie, unbothered, "Oops. Good thing it was just water, not my cranberry juice," Sophie said, grinning. "That could have been a bigger mess." "I'm sorry," Sophie said, eyes brimming with tears. Everything felt catastrophic to her lately. "Don't worry about it," Emma said, crouching beside Sophie's chair. "I spill things all the time. Just last week, I knocked a full cup of coffee onto my laptop. It survived, but for a moment, I thought it was done for." Sophie sniffled, curious. "Did it break?" "Nope. Had to dry it carefully with a hairdryer, but it's fine. Much more careful than I was with the coffee." As Emma helped clean up, chatting naturally with Sophie, James noticed her warmth. The way she put Sophie at ease mattered far more than any resume. Their food arrived, and conversation flowed easily. Emma told stories about her students, funny and sweet, showing her love for teaching. She asked about James's company, but also about Sophie, her hobbies, favorite books, favorite games. "I love The Princess in Black," Sophie announced. "Daddy reads it every night." "Oh, I love that series," Emma said. "Princess Magnolia fighting monsters while everyone thinks she's having a tea party, what's not to love?" Sophie beamed, thrilled to meet someone who knew her favorite books. They spent minutes discussing monsters and the hero's disguise. James realized he was genuinely smiling, not a polite social smile, but real. After dinner, walking out, Sophie suddenly said, "Daddy, I need the bathroom." "Of course, sweetheart. Let's find it." "I can take her if you want," Emma offered. James hesitated, then nodded. "Sophie, is that okay?" Without hesitation, Sophie took Emma's hand. "Okay, come on, Miss Emma." They disappeared toward the restrooms. James waited, thinking about the night. Emma wasn't the polished, perfect woman his sister had described. She was nervous, talkative, a little clumsy, but genuine, kind, and wonderful with Sophie. When they returned, Sophie was excitedly talking about the fancy soap dispensers. Emma caught James's eye and smiled, and he wanted to see that smile again. Outside, James prepared to say goodbye, planning to end the evening politely. But Sophie had other ideas. "Are we going to see Miss Emma again?" "Well, your dad and I would need to talk about it," Emma said tactfully. James looked at his daughter's hopeful face and made a decision. "Would you like to have dinner again? Maybe something more casual next time. Pizza, perhaps?" Emma's face lit up. "I'd really like that." "But Daddy was going to say no," Sophie said, perceptive as ever. "I could tell your leaving face." James felt his cheeks warm. "My leaving face? You know, when we're at boring grown-up things and you're ready to go." Emma laughed, and James laughed too. "Apparently I'm transparent, to 5-year-olds, anyway," Emma said kindly. "For what it's worth," Sophie added, "I thought you were going to politely end things too." I could feel their eyes on me, weighing me, and I knew I came up short. "That's not," James began, then paused. "Okay, maybe a little. I'm sorry. I was unfair. You were just protecting Sophie. I get that. But honestly, I really enjoyed tonight. Sophie's amazing, and you're not nearly as intimidating as I thought." "I'm scary," Emma teased. "Your sister warned me you might be cautious about dating." She wasn't wrong. Sophie tugged Emma's hand. "But you're nice. That's what counts, right, Daddy?" James looked at his daughter, at the way she had instantly connected with Emma, and then at Emma herself, at her calm patience and warmth. "Right," he said. "That's what matters." They exchanged numbers and made plans for the coming week. Walking to the car, Sophie skipped beside him. "I like Miss Emma," she announced. "I'm glad. Are you going to marry her?" James nearly choked. "Sophie, we just met her tonight. But I could tell you liked her. You stopped making the leaving face. That doesn't work like that, sweetie. We have to get to know each other first." "Okay, but I think you should. She's nice, she knows about Princess Magnolia, and she didn't get mad when I spilled the water." James smiled, buckling Sophie into her seat. "Those were solid qualifications. The best ones," Sophie said confidently. Over the next months, James realized Sophie might have been right. He and Emma dated slowly, carefully, always mindful of Sophie's needs. Emma never rushed, never forced herself into a parental role, but she was consistent and present. She attended Sophie's plays, cheered louder than anyone, learned to braid hair at Sophie's request, and stayed when she was sick with soup, stories, and care for James too. Most importantly, she made Sophie laugh. The quiet apartment slowly filled with Emma's energy, her stories about teaching, dramatic picture-book readings, and playful games of princesses and monsters. James fell in love steadily, aware this wasn't just about him and Emma, it was about creating a family. He watched Emma with Sophie, patient, never replacing Sarah's memory, but carving her own space in their lives. 8 months after their first date, James asked Emma to marry him, not in a grand gesture, but at home after putting Sophie to bed, reflecting their life, quiet moments, shared responsibilities, and building something together. "I love you," he said. "Sophie loves you, and I want us to be a family officially." Emma cried, and James panicked until she said yes. Sophie, who had been listening by the door, ran out. "You're going to marry Miss Emma. I told you to." James laughed, scooping her up. "You were right. I know. I'm always right about nice people," Sophie said. 6 months later, they married in a small ceremony. Sophie, the serious flower girl, guided everyone through the steps of the day. James's sister pulled him aside. "I told you she was perfect for you. You did. Though I almost didn't give her a chance. Thank goodness Sophie has better judgment than me." James smiled, watching Emma and Sophie dance and laugh. Years later, during a normal evening of homework and dinner, Sophie would ask about that night. They would laugh about the restaurant, the spilled water, and a little girl who saw what her father almost missed. Sometimes, the right person is simply nice, present, patient, and loving. "You were my best wingwoman," Emma said to Sophie. "What's that?" "Someone who helps you find the right person. And you did, because I would have almost walked away. But you didn't," Sophie said confidently. "Because I said so. And sometimes, nice is exactly enough." If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales of second chances, children's wisdom, and family love. Comment below with a time someone saw potential you almost missed.